What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So as I'm sure you can see by the title, today is a TMI Tuesday, which if you're not familiar with my channel, hi, what's up? My name is Karissa, and TMI Tuesdays are where you guys leave me questions about me, about life, about maybe a situation that you're in and you want some perspective. Anything. Leave it for me in the comments down below, and hopefully I will answer your question the next TMI Tuesday. Today's video, I am extremely excited because for the first time in like 8 years of doing this, we have a sponsor. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Natural Cycles for jumping in and sponsoring today's video. If you're not familiar with Natural Cycles, they are the world's only FDA approved birth control app. And I thought they were a perfect fit for this video because a lot of you had questions on birth control and what I'm currently using, what I've previously used. Do I like it? Is it working for me? I mean, it's working for me, but like, you know what I mean. So a huge thank you to Natural Cycles. I will get into them a little bit later on when we talk about birth control, but let's jump into the first set of questions. One of the most popular questions that I received was asking about our wedding and what's going on. If you missed my last vlog, I explained a little bit of what was happening with our wedding in the beginning of that video, so I will link it down below for you if you want like a further, bigger explanation. But long story short, we have had to postpone our wedding due to COVID. It fucking sucks, but it is what it is, and yeah, we're just hoping that we can do it in 2021 if our guests can fly from Australia to Canada, because I think that's kind of our biggest thing right now is all of our international guests, including Glenn's family, have no ability to get to Canada because of all the travel restrictions. So, I don't know, to be continued? Somebody's asking, what are you looking forward to? Can be short term or small or whatever. I am really looking forward to picking up our kayak. I finally purchased a kayak. I'm gonna be a kayaker, guys. This is something that I have wanted for the last couple of years, and I just never wanted to drop the money on it. It just wasn't like the right time, and like obviously when we lived in the city, like where are you gonna store a kayak, right? But I finally pulled the trigger and found a 2-seater kayak on Marketplace for a good price, and we'll be picking that up probably before you see this video, so I might already be a kayaking woman by the time you see this, but I don't know, we'll see. So I'm really looking forward to my new kayaking life that I have planned, and I'm really looking forward to harvesting from our garden. I've really enjoyed getting into gardening over the last couple of years, as I'm sure you guys have noticed from my videos or my content. I like growing plants, I like eating plants, I like smoking plants, I like plants. So I am really looking forward to doing a garden harvest later this summer and just getting to eat fresh and healthy food. Who is your favorite female celebrity? I don't know if I could narrow it down to one person. I have a bunch of kind of like people that I fangirl over, one of them being Dolly Parton. She is such a beautiful soul and just such a kind human being, and she just is so involved in her community and helping people, and I think that's freaking awesome. Same but different. I love Jane Fonda. I think that her work in activism has just been super important and good for her, you know? I also, of course, love Miley Cyrus. I feel like we are twin flame spirit animals and we get along very well. I could go forever, honestly. There's a lot of celebrities that I think what they're doing is really cool. Jamila Jamil, she's freaking awesome. What she's done with her, is it iWay account, or like her social media is top notch. She's just, there's so many cool, inspiring women out there. I don't think I could ever narrow it down. Plans to move to Vancouver soon or stay in Kelowna? I mean, if you followed the last TMI Tuesday, I think I spoke about it there. Kelowna is really great, being close to my family, and it is a beautiful place, but it is not the place where Glenn and I would like to settle. We have lived here for just over a year now, and yeah, it's not been a fit, you know, and it's totally fine, nothing against it. It's a gorgeous area, and maybe one day it will be like the right time in our lives to move here. But for now, we just miss the coast so bad. If we had it our way, we would be in North Vancouver and just loving the coast life. So definitely Vancouver. It just ends up being like, what can you afford, right? And right now, it is probably not in our budget to be finding somewhere to live in North Vancouver. But I'm putting a pin in that, and I'm hoping to revisit in a couple of months when Glenn's job picks back up. We're hoping to make moves. We shall see. This next question is really good. How did I grow to be more confident in myself and who I was as I got older? I would say that the way that I grew to be more confident in myself is to stop looking at outside approval and just really do me, you know? At the end of the day, there will always be somebody that has something to say about what you're doing, and it's none of your business, you know? And I think that I've kind of had a really magnified experience of this being online, having to deal with this often, obviously, as I put myself out online, and there's a lot of judgment that comes from putting yourself out online. But I don't know, it just kind of, you really have to pull yourself back and realize what feedback are you taking from what people, and is it somebody that like you would actually want to take feedback from? Biggest piece of information that I could share is, regardless of somebody, you know, loving what you do and praising you, or maybe somebody absolutely hating you and throwing hate your way, all of that opinion is none of your business, like at all. Like, it's really nice that they're spending time thinking about you, and you know that they're more than welcome to spend their day like that, but it has nothing to do with you and who you actually are as a person. And the more that I really honed into that and realized, like, I don't want to spend my day mulling over what I think somebody else thinks, it just became so much easier to do myself. And that sounds funny, to do myself, but like, you know what I mean? Like, do you stay true to who you are and be confident in who you are, because I don't know, other people don't have to get it. If you are happy and you're successful in your life and your relationships around you, and like, I'm not saying don't accept feedback by any means, but only accept feedback from people that you genuinely respect. Because at the end of the day, if you are accepting feedback from all angles of your life and you're acting on that, you're not living for yourself, and you get very caught up in how other people think of you. And to me, confidence at its very core has to do with you being okay with who you are. You know, if you allow anybody and everybody to have a say on what you're doing, that will cloud your vision so much, and you'll just be questioning yourself and getting anxiety over that, and fuck that, man. Okay, so let's jump into these birth control questions. A lot of people have asked about, am I still using an IUD? Have I used the pill previously? What am I using now? I would like to first and foremost preface this by saying, what I do should have really no effect on what you do, because you need to do your own research for what works with your sexual habits, what works with your relationships, what works with your age, what works with you as a human being. There is no one birth control that works for absolutely everybody. So like, let's just put that out there first and foremost. So I started on birth control when I think I was 16 or 17. And I originally started because at that point I wasn't sexually active, but I knew that I probably would start to be, and I wanted to just be as careful as I could. And my aunt was actually the sexual health nurse in our hometown. And so I had already had experience with volunteer hours working down at Options for Sexual Health. So I was very like well versed in my options, and I knew that I would rather just get on the pill and have it as like just in case. I didn't want to get in the point where I was ready to have sex and I didn't have protection, right? And when you're young, you just want to be as careful as possible. And so I went on the pill because that was marketed to me as kind of the easiest thing to do at that age. And so I think I went on like Yasmin or something, and I was on that for a couple of years. I didn't really like it. When I was 19 or 20, I switched to NuvaRing, and I used that for a couple of years. And I don't know, it was again one of those things where I was just trying something because I felt like the pill wasn't really for me, but I wanted to know my other options. And then I thought I'd try something new, so I decided to go from NuvaRing to an IUD. And that kind of made sense for me at the time because I am in a long-term relationship, and I had been for a while at that point. and I wasn't obviously worried about STDs or like using a condom in that sense, so it made sense to maybe switch to something like an IUD. So I ended up going with a copper one because I didn't want to mess with my hormonal levels, going with maybe like a Mirena or something like that. I thought that I really liked it, and I ended up getting a second one inserted after whatever it is, the 3.5 or 4 years that like they're allowed to be in you. Looking back, I had wickedly heavy cramps, a very heavy flow, and then basically when I got my breast implants removed around that same time, I made the decision to remove all like permanent objects from my body. So like I removed my nipple piercing, I removed my IUD, I got my breast implants out, and I just didn't want anything in me because I felt like my body was really reacting to things like that. And so yeah, I decided to go off of birth control at that point. And from that point forward, which was 2 years ago now already, I have just been tracking my period. And that's what I did for the last couple of years, was pretty much just track my period and know when I was ovulating and avoid having sex around those periods, or obviously like use a condom in those times. But I ended up wanting to have a little bit more control over exact timing, so I decided to look into using the basal temperature method, and that brought me to find Natural Cycles. And so as I said earlier, Natural Cycles is the only FDA approved app. And so basically what you do is every morning you wake up, and before you get out of bed you take your temperature and you record that temperature in the app, and the app will tell you whether or not it is a red day, which means you need to use protection, or a green day, which means you're good to go, girl. And you can change the settings in the app. Say if you were trying to get pregnant, then obviously like it'd be a good thing to be trying on your red days, but you know, we're not there yet. I'd like to make a quick note that you do need to be over 18 to use this app. And also, I know that this is probably a given, but I do have to say it because it is important. Things like this do not prevent STDs, period. You need to use a barrier method if you are having sex with somebody that is not your immediate person. You know, you feel me? Natural Cycles is 98% effective, which is right up there with any other type of birth control. There's no birth control other than abstinence that is 100% effective. And so for myself, it made the most sense to continue on doing something in the natural realm, because I just don't want to be putting hormones in my body if I don't need them, you know? And again, I would love to just state that this is what works for me. There's no one size fits all, but for what stage I'm at in my life with a single partner and also family planning, something like this is just exactly what I need. So I'm very stoked to be sharing this. I think that it is definitely an option for a lot of people, but I do want to say that this might not have been an option that I would have considered when I was younger. If I wasn't consistent with something, this might not be the right fit, and that's totally fine. You'll find what works for you and your body. But if you are somebody that's looking for a natural option, I would highly recommend checking out Natural Cycles, and they have given me a discount code if you would like a discount off of your subscription. I'll leave it down below in the info box for you. But yeah, that's what I am doing to prevent pregnancy, but to also keep track of when my kind of best options are to get pregnant, because I'm hoping in the next little while there'll be a little baby Glenn and Karissa, a baby Clarissa. Oh, it's the worst name. Someone said they'd love to hear about my hair plans. I would like to quickly point out that this is all mine. I grew this. There's no extensions in here. You guys, how long have I waited to say that? I took my extensions out this past weekend, and I just had a couple through the front to add like a bit of hair in here. And to be completely honest, I would love to do that again. It's just everything is closed and extensions are not my priority right now. But when they are a priority, I would love to eventually get some extensions through the front again just to fill out this bit. But I think long term I am growing my hair. I don't know, like hair is something to me that like it will always change. I really don't have any attachment to it being short or long. I have wanted to grow it out for probably about the past year, and it was kind of just so that I could have like more options with styling it at our wedding. And now that we're pushing maybe another year, maybe more, I guess I'll just keep growing it. I would love to get my hair done. It's been like closing in on a year, I think, of not like coloring it. So that would be really cool to get my roots attended to, because I'm now like a balayage look, but like I didn't mean for that to happen. It just, you know, COVID, right? So I would love to eventually, I think, get like some type of really fine full head of highlights, but then a really like defined root shadow. I don't ever want to be like blonde again. I feel like that was just so much damage and money and just too much time. I don't want to spend that kind of time. But yeah, I would love to feel a little bit brighter, and I would love to eventually chunk some more extensions in through the front, just because, like, I don't know, it'd be nice to have a bit more thickness through the front. I feel like my hair always looks better when I have a little bit more through here. So that's kind of the plans, but honestly, like, I don't know after the wedding. I don't have any attachment to having short or long hair. Short hair is way more convenient. Long hair is really fun, but I don't know, we'll see. Somebody's asking, how many plants do I have? Last count, I was over 100. I have adopted a couple since then, so I don't know. And that's just indoor plants. Like, this isn't talking gardening and outdoors, but I would say around 100 indoor plants-ish. Another question pertaining to plants was asking, do I find that having indoor plants brings a lot of bugs? I haven't luckily had that as an issue yet, and I'm knocking on every wood surface around me. I really hope this moment won't come back to bite me in the ass. But I have luckily not really dealt with any like major bug problems. Just your common, like, I've had spider mites a time or two. I have had, like, is it called fungus gnats, or like those little tiny like flies that fly around your house. But usually those things are quite like quick fixes if you get on them fast enough. I always keep a bottle of neem oil around, and that to me is just such a all-around use product for bugs and things like that in plants, and it's natural. I have found that as long as I'm diligent with my watering and my like just looking at the plant and knowing like what should it look like, what does it look like when it's happy, what does it look like when it's not so happy, when you know your plants and you're intimate with them often, sounds so weird, but you know what I mean, then you probably will not have a major problem with bugs. But I use Google all the time. If there's anything that's a little bit off or anything, I will Google it. I am a part of a lot of different like Facebook plant groups, and so I learn a lot through that. So I would recommend maybe doing that if you're struggling with bugs, because everyone on Facebook plant groups has like the best solutions. So recommend. Somebody asked, what is happiness to you? I think that happiness to me has always been being able to have the freedom to do what I wanted and when I wanted to do it, obviously within reason. But like, I mean, in the sense that like, if I really wanted to go and spend a week with my best friend, I wouldn't have a job that told me no, or I wouldn't have a partner that told me no, or I don't know how, like, I don't feel like I'm explaining that as well as I could be. Happiness to me was just being able to live as true to myself as I possibly could, and waking up each day and knowing that I had choices and making each day something that I wanted to do. That to me was happiness, and getting to share that with someone who has the same kind of values and morals and things like that is just like, it's the best freaking thing in the world. I'm so grateful for my partner, and I'm so grateful for the life that we've built together. And yeah, that to me is happiness, having that choice and having that option, and just getting to wake up every single day and knowing that like it's gonna be okay is happiness to me. And I know, like, what a privileged thing to say, because not everybody gets that, but for myself, like, that's how I've always viewed happiness. Someone's asking, do I take hair vitamins? And they wanted to see progress of my explant scars. I do not take any type of hair vitamins or like biotin and things like that. Fun fact, biotin can actually aggravate acne and like cause more acne, so that's something that I've always kind of steered away from. A lot of supplements to me just seem quite unnecessary. I love stuff that helps like my gut and therefore will help the rest of my body, but I don't like take specific things like this is good for your hair, skin, and nails. Like, I honestly don't think that anybody really needs that. I think that if you eat like a varied diet that is nutrient dense, you probably don't really need that, but again, just my opinion. And then my explant scars. So I want to do, again, I feel like I've just let you guys down on my explant update. I really want to film a full video again on my explant, just talking about how the last 2 years have gone post explant, how I'm feeling. So any of those types of questions I'm going to save for a future video. But if you would like to see my scars, so this is what it looks like. It's barely there. I barely notice it. It kind of sits like almost in the fold of where my boob is. I don't notice them at all. It's not something that I was really all that worried about when I got my boobs out, just because I was just wanting to get them out and I would deal with whatever after. But I'm super grateful that my boobs look great and my scars are totally fine. And I definitely noticed a difference by using my red light device. I didn't put like anything on the scars other than like basic lotion and like a mixture of essential oils just to stay like oily and keep the skin like soft and supple. But like there was no like magic thing that I did that made a difference other than my red light. Made a huge difference. I love this question. Someone's asking orgasms. How, when not, with who, alone? You can't and it sucks. And girl, oh man, I feel for you. I would recommend more than anything, be as intimately close with yourself as you possibly can and just find what you like, you know, play, touch yourself. And as you guys know, like I've shared this before, I have struggled with my libido, especially over the past few years. After getting my boobs out, it still was something that it's better, but it's not as good as I would hope for it to be. But something that I try and work on myself is just solo masturbation time. Mom, if you're watching this, plug your ears. You don't need to hear this. I would really recommend getting yourself a great vibrator and just playing, have fun, try it, you know? Something that I have recently swapped to is one of those vibrators that's like, how do you explain it? It's like not a bunny one. Like I've always had a bunny, like a rabbit one that like has like the part that goes in you and then the part that stimulates your clit. I never really loved it, but that was just the kind that I got when I was like a teenager, and that's just what I bought since. And then recently Glenn's like, you don't even really like that one. Like, why don't I buy you one that you like? Okay, so I tried a new one. It's great. It's like a wand and it has like a rounded head and like just vibrates like a motherfucker. Totally recommend playing with something, trying something, because you will find what you like very quickly when you spend time trying that. Something that I also would highly recommend is a course called Oh My God Yes. I kept getting a lot of ads for it, and then finally I was like, you know what, like screw this, I'm super curious. They had Emma Watson like promoting it, talking about it, and I'm like, what's good for Emma is fine for me. So Glenn and I purchased that and we have done the course, and it's really interesting. Like it's all science and fact-based, like this % of women like this move, and then it shows you on a vagina like how to achieve that move. It's brilliant. And if you are somebody who has struggled with finding your rhythm and finding what you like, and maybe you're not orgasming, check this course out. It is so helpful. And then that kind of leads also into other questions that I received on sexual wellness and my libido and this and that. As I said, like I previously said, I have struggled with my libido hardcore, and I've gone through dry spells that are just too dry. It's not fun, and it's hard in a relationship because two people might have very different sex drives, and that can be a sticking point for a lot of people. And it's something that I have had to address because I know that it is not fair to not address it. Do you know what I mean? So it's something that I've been working on, and I've been trying to really make the time for it, you know, and to be in that headspace where I'm just invested in the moment. I'm not, you know, thinking about my to-do list or too tired to actually enjoy myself. Like, we make time for it and plan it like that. And obviously, like, there's spontaneity and like things like that happen, but at my base core, I'm trying to be like, okay, cool, like tomorrow, like you want to give me a massage, like here's the candles, here's the music, like to just set the scene, because then I kind of feel like, okay, like this is what we're doing. And I really enjoy myself, you know? It's not that I never enjoy myself, it's just that I never feel sexy or feel horny. It's such a funny thing, like I don't know how to explain it, but for my entire almost 30 years on this planet, I have never felt in a situation that I am sexy. Like, that's just such a weird word to me, because people go like, oh, you should feel sexy or feel this. I've never felt that. I feel awkward, I feel gawky, I feel not embarrassed by any sense, but like I don't feel fluid. I don't feel like my insides match how my outsides work. Like in my head, like I'm a sexual vixen wearing lingerie and this and that, and like in real life, like I'm on my second day of the same sweatpants and like it's 10 p.m. and like, okay, I'll starfish, you know, and that cannot be my sex life. And so you have to put work into it. And so that's where I am, is I'm really trying to make more of an effort to make it a special event and make it something that's a routine and fun, because I really, really enjoy it once I'm doing it, but getting to that headspace is really difficult for me. So I hope that that maybe resonates with some of you, because the last time that I opened up about this, I couldn't believe how many of you messaged me. It is so comforting to know that I'm not alone in this, and this is something that a lot of people struggle with. And I don't know, I think that just by talking about taboo things, it just makes things so much easier to get through. And I welcome tips and tricks on feeling sexy and cultivating that mood, because I need help and I'm not afraid to admit it. And I want to make changes, and yeah, so I throw it to you. So the next question is, were your parents always cool with your drug use? And I'm doing this because there's literal quotations around drug. I would like to, first and foremost, again, disclaimer that anything that I talk about, I'm not promoting for you to do. Like, I'm just telling you my experience. This is something that I have had in my life, and I am sharing that experience. I have absolutely no desire to tell you how to live your life or make your decisions, because that's none of my business. But that is how I'm going to start that. Secondly,
it's not about the substance. It's about the way it's used. There is no such thing as a bad drug. This is the problem with the conversation. There's no such thing as a bad drug. There are dozens of ways to use drugs badly. It's a behavioral thing. It comes from the human heart. That's where the moral dimension is. Drugs are simply compounds that have certain effects. And a drug that you might think of as, you know, a drug of abuse, let's take heroin, for example. You know, terrible drug, but in a hospital for cancer patients, it can be very beneficial. So the good and the bad of using drugs or not using them comes from our behavior, as indeed the moral quality of anything we do.
I would like to clarify drug, because I feel like people hear that and they cast everything under the same umbrella, and that's just not the truth. I am someone that has enjoyed psychedelics, and I enjoy cannabis, and I have enjoyed MDMA, I'm not gonna lie. I grew up very against drugs. I broke up with a boyfriend in high school because he smoked weed, and looking back, that is the funniest thing. Yeah, life changes, and it changes as you get more information about things. And looping back to my parents, I think that that was the biggest thing for them becoming okay, was the fact that I was being very upfront with it. Like when I started consuming cannabis, my parents, having grown up in Canada and obviously having been around that their entire lives, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, they weren't stoked by any means, but like it wasn't like a, oh, this is the worst thing. Like, I'm sure that many people have had like terrible experiences with their parents with that, but they became more okay with it the more that I provided context and information. Something that was really huge was for us to sit down and watch documentaries together on these substances. And so I remember when I was in my early 20s sitting down with my parents and I think my grandma even, and we watched a movie called The Union, the business behind getting high. And that was one of my favorite things to direct people to, and it still is to this day, because it's such a comprehensive look at cannabis and why, as a society, we have demonized it. Because when it comes down to it, so many of these substances and things that are considered drugs are things that we have just had such a lack of actual information on and been fed so much propaganda that we believed it. Like, growing up, I truly thought that people that did like shrooms or acid were just like going to cook their brains and they were gonna hurt themselves and hurt others, and never do that, you'll melt your brain. And like, oh my God. Like, looking back, it's just like, for fuck's sake, the people that have the most to say have the least amount of information. So a very long-winded way to answer your question. They are not sitting there being judgmental and terrible and giving me ultimatums. That's never, ever, ever been what they're like. But they're also my parents. They're not the people that are going like, yeah, you should go and do that, like, by any means. But it has been really cool to go from a position where my parents maybe had experiences with these substances when they were younger and they didn't have the information that we have, or they didn't really know what they were doing. They were just doing it because their friends were doing it, to then getting information as an adult and hearing this information from their daughter, who has spent a lot of time talking to people about this, following leading experts in these types of fields, and being and approaching it in a responsible as possible way. We use the Waking Up app from Sam Harris. It is a meditation app. And like, my mom, you know, messages me a while ago and she's like, hey, did you listen to the mushroom one? Like, he did a hero dose. And I'm just like, this is awesome. So like, it's not something that obviously they're into or something that, you know, they're promoting in any which way, but they do understand that I'm an adult making a educated decision on substances that I choose to put in my body. Hopefully that answers your question. My mom is probably watching this right now, just like, what the fuck, and she's gonna call me later. A lot of people also ask the question why I don't talk about my cannabis use online more. And to be completely honest, because for so long it was such like a shamed thing that I just felt like it was just easier to not bring it up. Or like, if I did bring it up, like, I only kind of like tested the water. And now that it's legal, it's something that I definitely am more keen to talk about in a wider range of topics and things like that. But I think that, like anybody else, I am aware of what I put online, you know? And this is something that this video will be forever online if I put it online. And not that I have any shame around the choices that I make, but it's more so just out of ease. I am making decisions based off of my own perspective and my own experience and my own knowledge, rather than feeling like I have to people please. I've come to really realize that this is a part of my life that I do want to share, because a lot of people want to hear about it. And again, I'm never trying to promote it, I'm just trying to share my experience. But I'm more willing to talk about these topics now than ever before, just because I am confident in that decision to be doing that. And I also feel as though, what do I have to lose? You know, like, I don't think that I'm the person that's ever going to go and work in a strict corporate job. I don't, you know? And when I was younger, when I didn't know that YouTube would be something that I wanted to do, and I didn't know that being online was something that was going to be a big part of my life, I just shied away, because I just felt like, wow, maybe this will limit job opportunities in the future, or maybe this will limit my travel opportunities in the future. And I mean, maybe that is true, but at the end of the day, I am comfortable with who I am and what I do, and I feel like I'm more in a space to share that with you guys. And so if that's not the type of content that you like, totally cool. Like, it's really no hard feelings at all. I totally understand, and I've been there, truly. When I was younger, I just did not think that this was something that would ever be a part of my life. But as I got older, and the more information that I received on these topics, and the more that I really just dived into it, I realized, like, holy shit, I have missed out on something that can be a very powerful and life-changing experience. And I don't regret it for a second that that is something that I invited into my life. And again, not to say that that's something that you need to invite into yours, but I'm confident with that decision, and I'm more willing to share it. So stay tuned. I'll talk a little bit more about that kind of stuff in further videos, but yeah, I guess that's why I didn't really bring it up previously. Somebody said, sorry if I missed it, but what happened with Socialize? Love from New Zealand. So if you didn't know, Socialize was a company that my brother and I started back in technically 2014, but we took about a year before we launched it. This past year, I decided to step away from that business because it just was not healthy to be in a work relationship with my brother. I love my brother to bits. He's a fucking awesome human being. I really have nothing but great things to say about him, but working together was just not at all healthy, and I didn't want that to be our story, you know? And so it was really hard to come to the decision to step away, especially after building basically your baby. Like, that was the first company that I ever built, and I learned so much along the way, and I'm super grateful for all of the experiences that I had with Socialize. It's just incredible how much I learned, but I just could not continue working with my brother. And since then, he has decided to close it down, and honestly, we don't really talk about it because it's something that I just wanted to move on from. I didn't feel like it needed like a ton of attention. If you do want to read a little bit more about like my thought process and like that whole experience, I'll link a blog post that I did when I initially announced that I was stepping away from Socialize. So if you want to be nosy, you can totally read that. But yeah, like, there's no hard feelings, nothing bad or this or that, but it just was not the right fit for me, and I just did not want to put myself in that position anymore. Oh my gosh, of course, while I'm filming the last question, I ran out of space on my card. Where was I? I think we were talking about favorite book, favorite influencer, favorite food, was it? Favorite book would probably be Untethered Soul. It's a great book. Everyone should read that book. Your life will be enriched, and you will probably be a better person because of reading that book. And it is so short and so easy to read. Highly recommend. We'll link it below. And then favorite influencer, totally hard to say because every sector has a favorite. I absolutely love like Sam and Christy and Alana and Jamie for makeup and for like lifestyle stuff. I love Philip DeFranco for news. He's someone that I have watched for years and years and years. Just in general for content, I love Philip DeFranco's wife, Lindsay DeFranco. She is such a freaking badass. Like, what a cool person. And I don't know, I think that there's so many people that have such a positive impact on my life and they don't even know it, and so it would be really hard to try and narrow it down to one person. Someone that I love in like sexual health and wellness is Shan Booty. She is a phenomenal influencer. I really love the influencer, I think her name is Sarah Threes. She's from British Columbia and she makes videos and she's very Christian, but like I still really love her content because I think that her home and lifestyle content is just so relatable and lovely, even if the religious aspect of it maybe isn't. I love watching Tana Mojo. I think she's fucking hilarious, and I just like, it's like watching a train wreck in the best way possible because she is so just herself online, and I really respect that because there's a lot of times where I have done things that maybe I wanted to share online and yet I was too chicken to share it because I was just too scared to put myself out there like her. But you gotta respect the hustle. So Tana Mojo. I love watching Sarah's Day, completely opposite end of the spectrum. Sarah's really, really cool and she's a really nice girl, and even though I don't love watching like fitness content all the time because it's not something that I'm into, I still think that she's just a really interesting human being. Who else is a favorite? Valeria Leproskovsky. I can't remember how to pronounce her name. I'm going to leave all of these people down below in the info box so you can find them. But Valeria is a influencer with 3 children. She produces content like every freaking day. I don't know how she does it, but I love her fashion and her videos are really cute and cool. And yeah, man, there's too many people. I could go on all day. I love learning from other people and I love watching other people for multiple different reasons. I don't always agree with everything that they have to say or the things that they present, but it doesn't mean that I can't learn from them and enjoy the stuff that I do connect with. So yeah, I'd say that off the top of my head is some people that I enjoy. And then favorite food. I mean, I would never say no to pasta, but like on the flip side, like I would like to make it be known that if I ever had to choose, like gun to my head, had to choose one food to eat for the rest of my life, hands down it would be soup. Hands down. No questions asked. You can eat it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. You can have soup as a snack. You can have soup with noodles. You can have soup that's creamy. You can have soup with potatoes so it's a stew. You can have soup so that it's like an Asian inspiration. You can have soup however you want soup. So soup would be my go-to. I feel like that was a very serious answer to your question, but I would have soup. That is the last question. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's TMI Tuesday, and please leave me a question for the next TMI Tuesday down below. Don't be shy. It doesn't have to be about me. It could be about maybe your situation and you maybe want me to weigh in on it. I mean, not that I'm saying I'm an expert at advice, but like, it's just fun to have a chat with you guys and to learn about your lives. And yeah, I really enjoy doing these videos. So leave anything for me down below. Please don't forget to give this video a like. It helps my channel so much when you do things like that. And that's it for me. I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.